All right. Yeah, I'm ready. Go ahead. We're recording.
Oh, what was that all about? All right. Live from the Spill Studios, located along the I-35 interchange, right behind a liquor store. You got me all screwed up.
Under
now.
construction.
It's time. Under construction, motherfucker. It's time once again for a couple of cold ones with Corey and Carla.
Ooh, boy, I've been a talking motherfucker tonight, man. The co-host just shut down. I got through recording with him, and now you were here.
Now I am here.
With that long hair, though, you're prettier than he is. So, anyway, how you doing,
Well,
man?
thank you for that.
No, you're welcome.
I'm doing all right. I had a very chill weekend, man. It was very laid back.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, so what did you do? You just hung out at home?
Yeah, no. Friday night, I actually decided to get my weekend work done, so I just worked through Friday night after my bi-weekly meeting of FAGs, Fantastic Film Appreciation Group. We watched a bunch of movies. Came home, I worked, and then yesterday, an old buddy of mine came into town, and we went out to lunch and hung out, and made sweet love, and then finished up my work in the evening. And then today, I lounged around. I made a badass breakfast. Sat around and watched a couple movies. Caught up on Lost.
Damn, badass breakfast. You made it sound like that breakfast went out and stopped a crime.
Dude, it pretty much did.
Jumped off the plate.
You want to hear what I made?
What'd you make?
It was 3 eggs over easy.
You know what? I love eggs over easy, man.
Sausage patties. And Kirby Lane pumpkin pancakes.
So did you buy Kirby Lane pumpkin pancakes, or did you make
Well,
them?
they sell a mix.
Oh, they sell a mix.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
okay.
sell a mix of all their various flavors, and you can pick them up at HEB, and I'm stocked up on them. So I had pumpkin pancakes, eggs over easy, and sausage patties.
Oh, I thought you had a side gig working at Kirby Lane Cafe with
Hell
that
no,
chef's
man.
hat on, looking like the cream
Well,
of wheat man.
the money we get paid here, I need to work at Kirby Lane.
Hey, you get paid in pancakes.
That's right.
That's all it takes. Oh man,
You can't beat pancakes, though. I love pancakes.
Do you?
I do love pancakes. In fact, the best thing I've ever heard, Mike Doherty, who the director of Trick or Treat, he tweeted about pancakes the other night. We had a big conversation about pancakes, and he said, pancakes at 1 a.m. are like eating God. And that's like the truest thing I've ever heard about
So that's like giving God oral sex, is what you're saying.
Not eating out God.
Okay,
It's like
all right.
eating
I
God.
just want to know, because that's a heavenly blow. Hey, look, if you might not be gay, but if you're gonna blow somebody, you might as well be God, right?
I don't know. They might go off like a shotgun, blow your fucking head off.
Hey, it's God. He'll
That's-
put you back together.
that's-
Hey, he's looking out for
That's
you.
a powerful fucking jizz, man. I don't know about that.
God, jizz. Oh man! All right, now that we
Yeah, we're-
pissed off the Christians out there,
We're,
we can go on and
we're
get to.
so not getting started up yet. We have not hit our vibe. See what happens when you just kind of push it and go, all right, go. You didn't give me the signal or nothing.
You don't need to. You need to be ready, like that, man. You need to be the National Guard of podcasting. Just when we call you up, you need to be ready to go. So, with that said, top 5, man.
The top 5? Are you talking about the top 5?
There you go.
Brought to you by Spill.
Bam!
Number 5.
Oh my God! Look at this. That's recording, by the way, people. He's not really playing. It's Blind Carlisle.
Number 5.
Damn, I didn't know you could play harmonica.
There's a lot of things you don't know. For all you know, man, I could be married and have 2 dogs and live in a house.
You could
never
be,
know.
but I doubt it.
I could be peeing in your ice trays right now.
You could
for
be.
all you know.
I don't ever go in that kitchen, so if all I know, and I don't really put that ice in anything, my roommate does that. So.
That's unfortunate for him. So because come on, I totally brought you into number 5. I totally brought you down old school, old Muddy Water style, and you got to be what? I didn't know you played the harmonica.
I'm taking a bit. You're not going to ask you questions. You tell me you told me. Look at this. Oh, that's the little white boy. He was taken up by a black family in Waco, Texas.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, I did it. Of course, I'm asking a question about a fucking harmonica. You just pull this out
I
of
didn't
your
know you
ass.
didn't know I could play harmonica.
Yeah, what? You never said anything. You big dummy. What do you think? Out of all these years, you never pulled that out anyway. You just took
We
harmonica
review
lessons
movies.
last week.
You never
didn't
said, "Hey, show up and bring that fat harp of yours, and we'll jam."
You bought that shit last week and been taking lessons, and those are the
Actually,
chords.
no, I've played since I was 19.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, smoking a pipe and playing a harmonica.
In fact, I was the gayest guy at the poetry reading.
I'm the intellectual harmonica player. So, all right, number 5.
Number 5 is
Duplicity.
excellent.
So far, it has made, let's see, it has made $25.6 million. It brought in $7.6 million this
Not
weekend.
enough people have seen it yet, but damn it, that's a good fucking movie.
Or if you're like me, you don't give a shit. So,
Yeah, because you just don't give a shit.
No, that movie, it was all right. No, I'm glad people like it. You know, whatever. So anyway, let's go number 4. Number 4 is brought to you by I Love You, Man.
I love you too, man.
This shit's got to stop now, right?
I love you.
know
with
what I'm
syrup,
talking about.
my man.
Want to hear a song about it? Here it go. I Love You, Man. Movie I did like. It has made $37 million so far. Has brought in 12.6 this weekend. Not slam bang business there, but
it's not that
okay.
movie either. I mean, it's solid. I was surprised you guys gave it full price because you guys tend to give these comedies, matinee, and then it's like this is the full price one, and this is the one that's less than the others. So
I don't know why, man. I liked it. Who else gave it a full price? I was the only one.
Wasn't it you and Leon both gave it full price?
Did he? I think he said
so.
a matinee too. I think.
No, because you guys were full price, and me and Cyrus.
No,
were,
that was something else, man. No,
are you sure?
Yes.
Well, no, there was that too because you guys were gay for Monsters in Love or whatever it was called.
No,
Monsters
he
vs.
was for I Love You, Man. Everybody said matinee except for me.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're the gay one.
Yes, I am. Hello. Let's see.
No, it's the lesser of these comedies, but it's still a good one. So it wasn't going to do gangbusters because it wasn't fall out of your chair funny like some of their others were.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I love the movie, but that's just me.
Which takes us to
Oh, now we be
number 3.
moving to number 3. Damn, we should get on the road with this.
I'm not so sure.
And they can run us. Will we run off the road with this kind of shit? Number 3 is Knowing. $46.2 million it has earned so far. Brought in $14.7 million this
Still
weekend.
there. Wow.
Yeah. Did you see it?
I have seen it.
Okay, what'd you think?
Wow, is that a mess?
Man, thank you.
Oh my God. I mean, I wanna like it so bad, and there's so much about it I do like, but there's so much mixed up there, and then that whole thing with the kids running towards the white tree, and you're like, oh, you got to be fucking kidding me. And
listen, people.
Oh my God.
Let me tell you something. And okay, just tune out for about 30, 40 seconds. I will tell you the ending of Knowing here that pissed me off. Okay, I will tell you when to leave. Go. All right, 30 seconds. The ending of the movie is the biggest cop-out that you don't do with writing. Aliens. They explain everything with fucking aliens.
No, that's not the problem. The problem is that they have this film that totally builds up with all this religious stuff, and then it's like, oh yeah, it's not religion, it's aliens. Oh, but it might be.
Well,
no, you're right.
I wish it had been more religious stuff.
My problem isn't really that it's a cop-out. Now people are going to be tuning back in, so we can keep talking about it without using the word.
Okay.
But, no, the problem with the film is that it gets up to the third act, and it kind of knows where it wants to go, but then it wants to kind of happy ending out, and these endings don't really fit. It's almost like it reminded me of Deep Impact, but without the really touching moments they had in Deep Impact.
Well, I understand that.
Where you have these great moments where people are kind of embracing each other and ready to die, and they die. And they still kind of have a happy ending, but it's a bittersweet ending. Whereas here, it's like,
my problem with it is that I thought it was more that to what was being done with these numbers than there was there. And then I said, okay, maybe there is some religious overtone to this or some religious ending to this. That wasn't it. It was, to me, something that is terrible writing that was given religious symbolism. And I was like, that is awful.
You know what really bugged me on the ride home? I was sitting there going, all right, so this is the ending, right? Then what was the fucking point of giving everybody the fucking numbers?
Yeah.
Why not just have them write down the address of where they needed to be?
Yeah.
What? And if it was what they say it was, how the fuck did they know all this stuff was going to happen?
And I hated that the people that we're talking about at the end was symbolized through guys wearing Eurotrash trench coats for the whole thing.
You know, Xander from Angel needed to get some
Oh,
work sometime.
Is that who that dude was?
No, but he
looks
they
like-
all
yeah,
looked
he
like
look-
him.
yeah, they all
they
look
looked
like
like they
that.
were all stuntmen on the Angel TV show.
I just didn't even explain. That was just ridiculous. That was more of a stylistic thing to me than anything.
No,
Yeah.
and see the thing is that kills me is for years I've been one of those guys that's like Alex Proyas got screwed. Fox hosed him. He could have made a really cool I Am Robot movie. He made iRobot movie. He made all these great films in the 90s, and the guy's a fucking genius. I want to see what happens when somebody lets him go off and just be him. And so Summit Entertainment went off and let him be him, and it's like, oh fuck, really?
Really? So
God
is
damn
that because I was saying I like that director so much that I said,
do
you know
too.
something, I'm going to blame this on just a bad script.
Well, but as a director, he should have been able to either get out of it or change it in some way, shape, or form. He should have been able to improve it. And really, and really, the script isn't the only problem. Everyone keeps talking about the script. Oh my God.
Pull your mic popper back a little bit. Let me see.
Oh my God. Fucking Nicolas Cage was the worst he's ever been. There was a line in the movie where Rose Byrne is like talking about, you know, her husband dying or her husband leaving her or whatever. And Nicolas Cage just goes, "Oh, that must have been hard for you."
Yeah,
and it's
no.
like, what the fuck was that?
Oh, there's a lot of bad,
There's
terrible line.
That's the worst moment, but there's so many moments in there where Nicolas Cage, I believed he really was drinking during those scenes. That he felt he needed to go method, and he was just terrible. So that when those images got posted of him in The Sorcerer's Apprentice, they got posted the next day after I saw Knowing. I'm like, oh fuck no, this guy can't act his way out of a wet paper bag anymore.
Yeah, no, all the dialogue was bad. There's the worst line in the whole movie to me was Rose Byrne, is that her name? Whatever. She says, "I did it for the children," and I'm just like, oh, that's so.
At least I think that's her name. That's what somebody told me. Her name
Yeah,
was.
I've
been meaning to look her up all week because she was fucking hot. And
No,
so-
she in the movie.
Oh,
her,
my God.
Her and Nick, whoever played Nicolas Cage's sister in the movie, they both were like,
Oh, really? The shorts girl? That didn't do it for me.
I love both those girls in there.
Yeah, it was.
But hey, you know me.
Well, yeah, I know you. It's kind of like, has anything grown down there yet? Yeah. Yo,
Yo, awesome.
Has it grayed up yet? No. Well, then I like you, but don't love you.
Okay, all right. All right.
Brings
Move on.
us to
That's what we do.
number 2.
Let's move on to number 2. Ah! Damn, he's gone. Do it, white boy, do it. That's them Delta top 5 blues right there.
What brings us to the number 2?
Number 2 is something. Now, the number 2 are 2 movies that I predicted would be in there, and everybody knew this who keeps up this kind of shit.
You.
Yes, hurrah, me! I got my check and everything for predicting this. Number 2 is The Haunting in Connecticut, which brought in $23 million.
Ooh, scary.
Movie not that
so good.
No,
Not so scary. I was really disappointed that you recorded that with the co-host because I wanted to rip it apart with you.
I know, but
It has issues.
But we got some good stuff out of another movie, which for a good review. No, this movie, I feel bad because the director did that short, which I saw and is
The
great.
short is great. The movie, he's great with animation. He's terrible with movies. If only I knew a director like that.
I don't know of any. Nah, man, this guy, he's a nice guy too, and I don't know what I mean. He really did care about this fucking film, man.
Well, you're supposed to as a director, but you know, it had too many issues. And really, the biggest problem with this movie is that when the screen goes black and the lights go down, it comes up and says, "Based on a true story," which forces the entire audience to put its skeptics hats on. So for the whole movie, you're sitting there going, wait, did that really happen? Is that real? Okay, now if that had really happened, I would have seen it on the news. I would have heard about this shit. No, this is bullshit. And the whole movie, you're questioning the validity of the story they tell you because they tell you it's based on a true story. They're hoping to get power out of that, but that's not how audiences react anymore.
Well, I'm just tired of movies that say based on a true story, where at the end they have tons of CG ghosts and effects and creatures come out, and it's like, all right, you just lost me with this because you know good and well that shit did not happen there.
But that's Hollywood for you. I mean, my favorite example for this is Friday Night Lights. And Friday Night Lights, you watch that movie, it's like, oh, hey, they got to the state finals, but they got beaten. Aw, poor Odessa Permian. They tried so hard. And the thing is they didn't get that far that year. They actually got beaten in the semifinals by my high school that kicked the crap out of them and turned around and gotten beat by Dallas Carter. And it was my high school that lost. And the whole reason they wrote a book called Friday Night Lights is because of what happened after that loss. Not about Odessa Permian kind of coming up and being, ooh, yay. The book was about how screwed up what happened because my school technically won that year. And it's the only football game ever decided by a court of law.
So they just decided to build that up.
Yeah, so they were like, you know what? People don't want to watch that story. Let's follow Odessa Permian, and we'll change it. Nobody will notice that Judson didn't make it into the finals. Nobody will care about that. So we'll just we'll let Odessa Permian get there and get kicked by Dallas Carter, and it's like that's not how it really happened. But fine, it makes a cute movie. But yeah, no, that's anytime they say based on a true story or based on true events or inspired by.
It's always been amped up for dramatic purposes or special effect purposes.
Or just making shit up like in this case. Because when you actually read the story of what happened in a haunting in Connecticut, it ain't nothing like what we saw. Yeah. It starts that way, but it doesn't end that way at all.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, even if for a movie, even if it wasn't based on a true story, it would be a ridiculous film. So anyway, that brings us to... Oh, I got to dance this. Yes, those old Negro spirituals. Yeah, well, number one. All right, goddammit, put the goddamn the harmonica down. Got it, number one. Goddamn.
Monsters vs. Aliens, motherfucker. What are you going to do?
That's what it is.
Yeah, of course it is. It was the animated film released in March.
$58.2 million.
Damn right.
Love that movie. Think it deserves every cent it made.
Mediocre film. Really overrated.
No. Love that film.
I know you do.
It's a fun film. It's right up there with something that DreamWorks did a while back, which I finally figured it out. I was thinking, what does this remind me of? It reminds me of another movie because I'm not crazy about all DreamWorks animated films either. But it reminded me of Over the Hedge. Is a movie
no! Over the Hedge was awesome.
No,
Over the Hedge was truly funny.
And so is this for me. I mean, look, I admit is this like one of the best animated films out there? Is it up there with Pixar? No, but is it a fun film? I had a lot of great fun with it. Man, God damn it! Glad this movie did well. And these kind of characters, I would love to see a sequel with. Like Madagascar, fuck that. These are the characters I would love to see.
I would love to see a movie in which we actually get to know most of the other characters because they barely show up. They're just kind of there for the occasional comic relief, and I use that word very loosely. The further away I get from this movie, the less I like it. It's really one of those where it's like, man, that film had so much potential, and it squandered every bit of it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I had a good time. That movie set out to do a purpose, and it served it for me. Made me laugh. And actually, I love the way the movie looks. So, and it made me nostalgic for like the period that they were riffing on. So, yeah, I'm glad the movie did well. It's not Madagascar level where they were guaranteed to make money on a movie that they kind of just slapped together. This is a movie I think actually that they put some thought into. Does it work on all levels? No, but did it work on the levels that counted? Yes, that's what I thought about the film.
Yeah, so, I'm not surprised that it made this money, but it's one of those things where it's like, really. It's not worthy of being a huge blockbuster, but it's going to be because it's released in a time of year where there's nothing else for kids. I know you love that film.
I can't tell you.
You love some animation.
No, it's not that. It's animated.
It is totally that.
Yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles level over there. That fucking lame-ass movie. That fucking lame-ass animated movie. Teenage motherfucker coming out there like a 9-year-old retarded kid singing that shit. Look at you.
T-U-R-T-L-E power, T-U-R-T-L-E power, T-U-R-T-L-E power.
Fucking TV.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Fucking TV movie is what it is.
Fuck you. You liked Monsters vs. Aliens and shit on this. Go fuck yourself with a rusty spoon.
Goddamn DVD release brought to the screen Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I would have liked it if I could have watched it at home.
Motherfucker. Yeah, fuck you. That's it. We're going to rumble.
Yeah, okay, let's go.
It's animated rumble time.
I have you blowing a harmonica through your ass. So, I guess that was the big surprise in the harmonica.
Well, it wasn't a big surprise. I just said I had a surprise for you.
Okay, no, I like that. I
figured I realized you probably didn't know that I played harmonica, and really I wasn't playing all that well just there. But whatever.
You ever been in a band? Do you actually play blues on a?
Not
Anywhere?
blues. I did play in a band a long time ago. We were a parody band called Leisure Christ and the Saturday Saints.
Of course, y'all would be a parody band. Of
course we would.
Fucking nerds out there. That's all nerds do is parody bands.
I'm a dork, man. What the
Goddamn
fuck you gonna
same
do?
thing. Weird Al Yankovic
I've never
wannabes.
tried to be cool, but
Smoking pipes and playing harmonica on stage. So you play harmonica? Is that all you play?
yeah. I don't play anything else. I write the lyrics and I play the harmonica.
Awesome.
I'm just like Bruce
Not.
Willis, except not even half as good.
Except you have all your hair.
I do have all my hair,
Yeah. So
and I have all of his hair.
So what's going on? I didn't really like I said, I've been talking all night with the co-host.
So you didn't prepare.
I did not prepare.
You got nothing.
I do not have anything at all. I figured you have something. You always you know it's funny. You are willing to talk at any other moment except when you get in front of a mic, and all of a sudden you're like, I got nothing.
I got nothing.
All right, well then I guess I got to go find something.
No, there's no, man. It was really a dull. It's been a dull period of time. I mean, there was South by Southwest, so all the news kind of held off, and there hasn't been anything really exciting lately to pop up and talk about. Everyone's kind of just. And the big, I guess we could talk about the big thing while you're looking something up. But
what was that?
Damn, people won't shut up about Dragon Ball Z. Oh my God. Have you been inundated with the people who have seen Dragon Ball Z and are screaming about what a travesty is, like they didn't see it
the first day that it
years
went
out?
up, yeah, it's like, and I'd have to tell people, look, I'm sorry, Dragon Ball Z is something I never kept up with. I just don't care about it. I mean, I tried to watch a couple episodes.
It's so hard to watch. I mean, it really is. I am so not a fan of that show. And everyone's like, Carlisle, you must stand up and defend Dragon Ball Z. It's like, why? I saw that they acquired it years ago. I thought it was a bad idea then. I saw the initial artwork they put out for it. I said, wow, that looks as sucky as I thought it was. And now they're apparently doing screenings or something, and people are seeing it, and Dragon Ball fans are fucking pissed. And it's like,
hey man, it's one of those things. I admit, it might seem like I'm talking shit about it. I don't know anything about Dragon Ball Z. I don't know even enough to talk shit about the show. I just couldn't watch it. I tried to watch it because I like anime. Look, I've watched some shows. I love it. God damn it. Oh, hold on. I pulled out my earphone. All right, back in. Let's see. No, I don't know enough about the show. I tried to watch it. I like anime. But that was one thing. It's so long, and I don't like the style. And it just, maybe I didn't catch it from the beginning. But it was confusing, and it didn't have any appeal to me. So when I heard there was a Dragon Ball Z movie, I was like, well, I can't really see this being any better, to be honest. I don't know how you're going to make a movie out of that. Even if I did watch the show, I would say you want to make a 2-hour movie out of a story that goes on for 3 different series?
Yeah, it goes on for 3 different series, but really nothing happens. It's really people standing around for a week and a half having a fight. And then occasionally they have an episode of plot, and then people get into another fight again. Which is, from what I'm told, it was one of those things that when it ran over in Japan, it was keeping up. They were animating it, and it was playing every day, but it was keeping up with the manga. And so when they needed to stretch out the story until the next manga came out that revealed all the plot and secrets. And then they were caught up and they could have a little plot again, and then they needed to stretch it out again. And that was how the series evolved. Well, when it came over here without the manga. So kids just grew up watching the show that was about people having fights for 3 weeks at a time.
Yeah, I see that. That's what it seemed like. I mean, it seemed like they're just fighting. Every time I saw it, they were fucking fighting.
I think they could easily condense the plot and try to make a decent Dragon Ball movie, but not at Fox. Fox just acquires properties so that they can make films based on hot properties, cut back the budget as far as they can to make it look like a real movie, and then dump it out there and hope that it makes a profit. And that's how they've operated for several years. That's Tom Rothman's grand scheme. And this just got caught up in it. I cannot fathom how anyone thought this would be a good idea. Ever. I mean, so many people are really upset, and it's like, really? You thought this was actually going to turn out all right?
I don't even know why. Most people should have just been like, it's made into a movie, it's made by Fox. We should just ignore this shit. I don't know why people are so upset about it. It's not. See, this is what gets me with people who get upset about movies that are based on things that they like. It did all of a sudden the original series disappear because they made this movie? Can you not watch Dragon Ball Z? your DVDs, watch it on TV anymore? Can you not play your video games
That's how
anymore?
I feel.
Based on
That's
Dragon
how I
Ball
feel
Z?
about remakes. You know, nobody's going to take that stuff away from you.
Nobody
Although-
should worry about that
Now-
shit. You still
now
have the
it
original
does-
property there.
To this, I do understand why people would be upset that their property turned into a shitty movie, because there is that hope that, well, a really great movie could be made out of this, and I would like to see a great movie, and the fact that a shitty movie came out means we probably won't actually see a good movie. This was the whole thing with Fantastic Four, which is why I'm really pulling for the notion that...
Well, they don't want to do a reboot of that? Is that what
yeah,
they're
talking about a reboot, thank God, because they realized, oh, wow, we made really shitty movies. I wonder what would happen if we
Yeah.
tried to make a good movie this time.
Yeah, I would be curious. I will say this, though. I am getting tired of the whole thing of reboots, too, because, I mean, it gets to a point where it's confusing. Like with the Hulk. I mean, why didn't they just come out and just tell people, hey, we're just doing a straightforward reboot? They tried to come out and do this thing of, well, you know, it is a reboot, but it's somewhat of a sequel to. Well, not really, but you can treat it like that. It's just like, what are you doing? Do one or the other.
They were trying to be nice to Ang Lee.
They don't need to be nice to Ang Lee.
In fact,
He made
it's
a fucking
funny that this gets mentioned.
shitty Hulk movie, make a new movie.
That's what I watched tonight. I sat down and watched The Incredible Hulk tonight.
Well, I mean, the movie didn't. When it opened up, I knew it wasn't going to do like everybody was expecting it to do like a Iron Man business, and I knew it wasn't. I mean, that was ridiculous. But also, it was hurt by the fact that there was another movie out there, and they tried to like somewhat be connected to it, but didn't want to like totally sever themselves from it. It's like, you know, if you're going to reboot something, reboot it, or don't reboot it at all. And better yet, how about doing a good movie from the get-go instead of all of a sudden saying we're going to do these reboots? Because you know what they said? They said we're going to reboot The Punisher. And with The Punisher, they made it somewhat even more ridiculous movie than the first one.
Yeah, but it was actually a fun one, though. At least it was
For
entertaining.
you, that was a terrible movie for me.
It was a terrible movie for me. I loved how terrible it was.
I felt bad.
But I felt
wow.
for a long time that you can't make a good Punisher movie, and anybody who thinks they can still lives in their parents' basement and tries dressing up as the Punisher.
And I would say that you can make a good Punisher movie. I mean, you can do
what?
you can do anything.
Well, here we are
if
in your parents' basement.
Yeah.
Where's your Punisher T-shirt?
Hey,
No,
you
you
can make.
can't-
You
you
know what?
can't
You
make a
can.
good Punisher
You can do anything if you want to write it well. You can make a good Punisher movie, except that what they did was they made it. They couldn't decide what they want to do with that movie. They said, you know what? We want to make the Punisher serious. This is how confusing they were on this movie. Hold on.
none of
What they
it's
did was they
serious.
said, you know what? We want to make the Punisher serious, but everything around him is going to be too comic book, too ridiculous, too parody, too much of a parody on action films. Too funny. I mean, it was.
That movie wasn't serious for a
That
second.
movie was schizophrenic. The only guy
No.
that took it serious was Ray Stevenson, and that guy was like saying, "You know something? I'm out here to make a good movie." It's almost like everybody else said, "This is just some bullshit. Let's just do what we can with it." No, of course you can make a good Punisher movie. You can make anything good if you take the source material well. And these people they got bad writers, and they got a director who didn't know what to do. with it.
At this point in history, it's not a good story anymore.
Like I said, it all depends on your writing. You fancy yourself a writer. If you get somebody who you can write anything well, if you take the time out to write it well, that was a poorly written movie, and it was more so it was a poorly shot movie.
But in order to have a good movie, you have to have a good idea, and this idea is played out. We've seen it. It was fresh and new in the early 80s
You know
when
what?
it was
Let me tell
first
you-
written. Now it's just tired and weak, and you'd have to completely reinvent the character and make him something that he isn't.
What is it that you don't like about the Punisher?
It's not that I don't like the Punisher. I don't think the Punisher story makes for a movie.
Why not?
Because we've seen it a dozen times.
What
and
is it that we've
it
seen?
done-
I'm asking you. You're giving me vague answers. I'm asking you details. What is it that we've seen that doesn't work?
Dude, we've seen the vigilante story. We've seen the guy trying to clean up crime. We've seen it done in a realistic basis. We've seen it done with unhinged characters. We've seen it done in every aspect. I mean, he was pretty much a comic book adaptation of Paul, God, I can't remember his name, from Death Wish, which was made in the 70s, and then carried on through that era. He was there during the birth of the anti-hero in the early 80s, and that was what was neat about him. But the fact is, he's a guy that lives in the sewer that hunts down criminals.
But you know what? Yet you love Taken, a movie about a vigilante who goes out, does all these really incredible things that we know nobody could do in real life, and everybody ate that up. Everybody loves a vigilante movie if it's done well.
But the thing is, is that was a story that we hadn't totally seen before. Here was a dad going unhinged who wasn't being a nice guy at all. He wasn't being a good guy. He was being a bad guy. And we were watching a dad do whatever it took to get his daughter back.
Now, what's the difference between a man whose family is killed and he's not a good guy and he's going out and being a bad guy too?
Because we've seen it 100 times before.
So you've seen it. Why is it not different? Why don't you use that excuse for Taken where you said we've seen it 100 times before?
Because we haven't seen this version of the story. We've seen Frank Castle's version of the story several dozen times.
Taken is Frank Castle, except that you know what? He wears a suit and his family is still alive. At least his daughter.
No, because he's not fighting. He's not going out to fight crime. He's just trying to get his daughter back, and he's getting himself into situations that are really. You'd think are in over his head, but he really is a cool customer and just plays it cold and ruthless the whole way. He's not hunting down. In fact, the difference between Frank Castle and the character in Taken, between Liam Neeson's character, is that Liam Neeson doesn't relish in the revenge at all. Liam Neeson doesn't. When he finally gets the guy that took his daughter, he doesn't sit there and deliver some kind of one-liner or get some payback and some slow-mo kill. He just fucking kills every motherfucker in the room.
Now, I'll tell you why I think something similar to that, why a Punisher movie would work.
Because he's the one comic book character.
No. I love all comic book characters. He's not the only one. Don't tell me what I'm thinking. Now, what I like about the comic book character is what I think would make for a good movie. If you can do this with Batman, you can do this with the Punisher. And in The Dark Knight, I mean, that movie, what made it work is that they actually took everything in that serious. They even right down to someone like the Joker, who, granted, he's in makeup, he's in a weird costume, but even they took that character seriously. Now, if you make a movie that's as dark for the Punisher, now you don't have to have him go out. I thought they did very well in that movie where they had him dressed up in pretty much BDUs, except that they were black and they had a faint mark of a skull on there. You don't have to have them go out in white boots and shit like that. But if they actually did say, you know what is it that makes this character so disturbing? And that is that he is a vigilante, he is fighting crime, but it's the same thing that makes Batman work, is that this guy is a psychopath. He is crazy, and that is something that they did not really concentrate on with this particular movie. They said, you know what we want to do? We want to make a movie about a guy who's a vigilante, but we're going to surround him by all these comical bad guys.
But the thing that works with Batman is counter to all this that we've had with the anti-heroes for the last 20 years, in which Batman refuses to kill his nemesis. He does not kill his bad guys. He won't kill people. He subdues them. And that is actually, that restraint makes him a likable character, especially in this, to where he is a vigilante, but he's not that vigilante. He still believes in justice. Frank Castle doesn't believe in justice.
That's what makes it good.
Psychopath.
Yeah, that's what makes it cool. You got a guy who is really has to. He goes out thinking he's doing the right thing, but what separates him from the actual criminals that are killing? And you could even they did something in this movie that they just did and they didn't even touch on that could have made for an interesting dynamic in a well-written Punisher movie. Is that what happens when you think you are out there doing the right thing, and all of a sudden you kill an innocent? All of a sudden you kill somebody who's on your side. I mean, there's a lot of issues that they can deal with a character like that, but if you don't have the right writers for it, guess what? You got a bullshit film. And that's what I felt about that movie. I mean, I'm not going to ever say you can't do something because somebody believes in a writer, you can do anything if you decide to write.
You always go to the writers. And
because the writers, that's where it begins.
No, that's not where it begins.
I'm sorry, I disagree with that.
Well, I know, but that's because you don't know what you're talking about.
No, that's because you don't know what you're talking about, and you being a writer should know that.
Yes.
You know what? The thing is, you were ready to excuse. You were ready to make excuses for it, and I'm gonna call you bullshit here. You like that fucking Punisher movie because you like that director. You talked about how you hung out with her and talked to her and shit. Yeah,
you know what? This is where I got to call bullshit on you. I've never met Lexi Alexander.
There's something that you've mentioned about that director where you said you've either talked to her or you've seen.
No, I saw her previous film and liked her previous film.
I think
I've never met Lexi Alexander in my life. This is probably one of these full of shit.
And this was probably one of these other situations where, okay, maybe you didn't meet her, but you liked the movie so much that you wanted to do well, and so you're scared to criticize this fucking film.
The top and funny.
You've done this with certain directors before. You do it all the time with Michael Bay. And I'm gonna call bullshit on it for a change. And I think there's something that you went in.
This is exactly how you were for the Punisher to begin with. You were so touchy about this fucking.
No, I'm just saying it's one of those things where when you say I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about,
I'm
gonna call you on bullshit because you were talking about how you want to see that movie before you even went in there.
This is a Marvel film owned by producers, where the producers had control of the story. The producers are where you start here. Now, I'm not saying going to defend the writers, but you're just like, fuck them, they couldn't get good writers. It's more than just the writers, because the writers, I guarantee you there were probably 4 or 5 writers at least over the history of them making that film. What this was just a bad concept in the wrong hands that didn't gel into a good story. But you can't just, you're just sitting here repeating the writers. It is more than just the writers. The writers on this weren't good. I'm not going to defend them and say, no, these are good writers, but it's more than just the writers. This goes back to the core of how these studios are handling these characters and how they are telling these stories, because we have seen situations where the best writers in the industry are put on projects, and then the producers say, no, here's the story you've got to tell. Well, that won't work, and let me tell you why. No, you're going to tell this story. Look at the story with Kevin Smith when he was working on Superman, and he had John Peters constantly telling him, dude, put in a giant fucking metal spider. Dude, nobody wants to see a metal spider. Yes, people want to see a giant metal spider. I mean,
I will say this. If you're a producer, you have control over that script. And whatever they had right there, unless they came in and the producers said, because I'm not there, the only thing I can go by is that whatever they made with that movie begin with the script. And I don't know, I haven't heard any stories about the producers coming in, dictating that script, saying that I want this changed, I want this to be funny, I want this to look like this. All I know is that they made a movie. And if you're a producer, it's your job to say, all right, that script will work or that script won't. And if they have a shitty script, no matter whether these guys wrote it for the money or these guys really thought they wrote something and ended up being terrible.
Or they knew they wrote something terrible, but that's what they were told to write. In this, you can't just, in a situation with a movie that is as bad as The Punisher. Now, keep in mind that I loved it for being awful. I do not think it's a good movie at all. I think she intended to make a campy film, and I think if that was her intention, then she succeeded, because it was campy and it was funny and I had a blast. Have I ever watched it again? No. Will I? Probably not, unless I have a 6-pack of beer with me, because it's not a good fucking movie.
And keep in mind, I'm not even talking about the producers on this in this particular script. I'm saying outside of this fucking movie that they made, if they had a good script, period. If somebody wrote a good script and you're saying it can't be done, I'm not saying with these producers it can't. Hold on. I'm not saying with these producers it can't be done. I'm not saying that particular script was dictated by this factor and that factor. You said they can't do a good Punisher movie. I said that they can't.
I don't believe they can do a good Punisher movie.
Exactly. That's what you said. And that's what.
Hold on.
Yeah, I am, because you interrupt me. I'm gonna finish what I got to say. No, you said, and I don't know what the difference is when I say you can't make a good Punisher movie, then you come in and say I believe that it's the same fucking thing that you said. So you're pretty much saying that they cannot make a good Punisher movie. I'm saying that they can make a good Punisher movie. They can make a good movie about a fucking talking cat walking down the street smoking crack if they want to.
See, but what you're talking about is actually platonic forms. You're saying, no, if I can imagine it, it can happen. You're saying, you're talking about platonic forms, and I'm talking about reality. I'm talking about the fact that, you know what? Yes, if one magical day we wake up and all of a sudden the streets are made of marijuana and the houses are made of LSD and there's beautiful bunnies hopping across, you know what? Sure, they can make a perfect fucking Punisher movie.
I'm sorry, because imagination doesnto have anything to do with anything being done. Einstein said himself that imagination is more important than knowledge, because if you can think of it, then it can happen. At one time, people said you can't fly to the fucking moon, but they did it. So if they can do that, they can fucking write a fucking script.
I don't believe. I could be proven wrong on this. I'm not saying it is absolute fact that it can't happen. I'm saying I don't believe it can happen, especially in this current climate.
Well, I don't know what we're arguing about then, because I just said I believe it can. I mean, it's
that's
two different
why we're
opinions.
Arguing.
Yeah, because
you've taken this personally. This is exactly the same fucking argument we had back when the
that's when the show. That's the show that we lost. No, it's just like, hey, I'm just saying.
Is that the one we lost?
Yeah.
I was worried that we were actually boring people. We had this argument like 3 fucking months ago.
No, that show never went on. And that's why I'm saying. No,
that's right, because that was the one right before I went out to New York.
Yeah, and that's the one we lost. No, I'm just saying. Listen, I don't want to bore people with this either. But I mean, if you're going to argue on a point, I'm going to counter argue when I believe that something can be done. That's all. And you said that I was content with saying like, hey, they can make anything if they write it, and you said that they can't, and you want to take it to this other level. I'm not saying we're mad or anything either. I'm just saying you want to keep it going. So I'm just going to say, hey, listen, I'm going to say that they can. This is why I believe they can.
Let me also back up and say other things that I believe. I believe that Michael Bay will never win an Oscar, nor will he ever direct a film that will be worthy of an Oscar. I think that it is important. Does that mean
I'm going to argue on that because you never say never. He could one day.
I said I believe. I believe I can fly.
Michael Bay can come
I
up
can
and
touch a guy.
You should pull out your harmonica for that.
I don't think that's worthy of a harmonica. Actually, no.
You know what? I apologize if you never met that director. I just remember that you were really crazy about her last film. I thought one of those situations
which everybody told me. I said that it was called Hooligans. It was called Hooligans when it played South by Southwest here.
No, it was Green Street Hooligans.
It's Green Street over there.
And I never saw
it.
UK. But no, like I say, look, I'm not. I'll admit when I'm wrong. I mean, if I said you were hanging out with her or something, I just remember you were really excited about that film, and I will say that I
was
think
hoping that it would turn out cool,
and I think that it carried that excitement over her last film, carried over a little bit into this Punisher.
No, because it really is. You've seen me when I think a director has potential and I think they've got a good project, and then they make a crappy film. That's when I get angry. That's where I start throwing around some old bullshit. This movie had me laughing. You were sitting next to me. I was laughing through that whole thing. That thing was bad, but it was funny bad.
You know what?
And I even talked about that it was not a good quality film,
and I'll tell you
something.
Fun
Punisher film.
If I saw it on television, I'll probably be laughing that way too. I just think it is wasted potential.
Well, anytime you fuck around with a Marvel character and don't make a good movie, it's wasted potential because you've got years of backlog of stuff. And I think, honestly, the Punisher, he had his day in the 90s or in the 80s. And when they made that 89 film, that's when they really killed the Punisher because that was the era that story was still fresh. Had they made a good Punisher film back in 89 instead of the Dolph Lundgren piece of shit, we would have this great classic film that even though the character didn't stand up today, we'd still look back on it fondly like we do with Shaft. Like, Shaft doesn't hold up. Shaft isn't a great film, but you and I love the shit out of Shaft, right?
Oh, yeah, but Shaft at least was not as comical as something like this. I mean, even today, where you have, this is, we're talking about the Punisher, but I feel this way about anything. Today, when you have this whole idea that you are taking characters and you are re-examining them under a more serious light. Like, we're going to take these characters more serious now. Somebody like the Punisher, who's a psychopath, who has tons of problems, this is a perfect time to go back and re-examine a character like this. And if you're going to, like I said, if you're going to reboot it, use that potential to do it. Don't take a step backwards by making it more cartoonish than the original movie that everybody thought was shitty.
I think with a character like that, you need to leave him on the page in some way. He either needs to stay as a comic book character, or what you're talking about, that kind of idea would work in a novel where you're willing to watch a character kind of self-destruct and follow a villain through a whole book. And you look at a movie like Perfume, which is based on an incredible book, which is all about a serial killer, but it's told from the point of view of a serial killer, and you totally understand the guy and you empathize with him. Whereas that's what you're talking about here, but that's so hard to do in a film because you have to sell that in a very short amount of time without really letting us know what's going on in his head. Where on the page, we can dance through his thoughts and get to know what he's really thinking. And I think that the character is flawed for the screen, at least at this point in history, where that is not what audiences want. I don't think we're ever in our lifetime. Well, okay, not lifetime. I don't think we're going to see a good Punisher film ever.
I mean, we might not. I'm not. I mean, we might not. I'm not saying that. I'm not arguing with you on that point. I mean, except that you're saying you're giving it a definite. I'm not giving anything a definite because you never know where anything's coming from. But I do see the potential there. I don't think they're going to do it because they wasted too many opportunities at this point. So it's going to be years before they do it again. Yeah. But in a film, you're talking about where characters in a book where where you read a character's thinking and you can't really read into their thoughts. That's what we get supporting characters for in a film. That character is there to vocalize a lot of things that they're saying.
I know, but in order to make a truly great Punisher film, what we were talking about, which got lost, the only way I could see a really great Punisher film, something that we have not seen before, is to tell the story of a bunch of criminals locked in, a warehouse, kind of like Nid de Guep's, the Nest over here, or where they're locked in a building and they've just pulled off a heist and the Punisher has shown up. You remember the opening sequence from The Incredible Hulk, where you've got all these guys running around with machine guns, and you've got these Brazilians trying to chase after Bruce Banner, and the Hulk is like this survival horror movie monster coming out from the shadows and grabbing guys, and you never see him. He's only in shadow, and he's like chucking the bad guys all over the place. I would like to see a Punisher film in which it's told almost entirely from the point of view of the villains being hunted down by the Punisher. We already know who the Punisher is. We know what he's doing. He's the menace. He's the bad guy. And we get put in this situation with these villains and watch them get picked off one by one in brutal ways.
I think that's a good movie, except that you're talking about a stalker film now. But I think,
but that's the way you could, because that's all he is.
If you do
he's just a serial killer.
No, see, he's not just a serial killer. He's somebody who like you say, he thinks he's doing the right thing, and he has a code. I mean,
but so do a lot of serial killers.
I mean, but that is where we come from. We've seen this kind of idea work with something like Dexter, a character who has been told that you can't kill anybody unless they're bad. Except that we have it more. That show is more cerebral than this, and more dramatic. In this, we have the action film version of that. So that is why we've seen it before. People love Dexter. I think Dexter, it would work in an action film.
But Dexter works in a long form format. You don't really. Dexter seems cheesy the first few episodes until you really get into the show and you're like, wow, I'm really digging on this. You have to sell that in under 2 hours to American audiences. You're not going to be able to do that with the Punisher. You can't make him that dark and brooding, because really, unless you're reinventing the character and actually have a brand new angle to take on him that we haven't seen before.
Hence the name Reboot.
Well, no. There's a reboot in which you redo it, but you still have to capture the soul of the character. And the soul of Frank Castle he's a product of the 80s. I mean, he was really cool in 1985. It's 2009.
I think the vigilante story is timeless, and to say that that's a product of the 80s, I think is a little.
I think the
incorrect.
vigilante story is timeless. I think Frank Castle's version of the vigilante story is not, because he's.
I look at somebody like recently, like Rorschach, a character that people just loved, and he was also a psychopath vigilante. And
sure,
that is like one of the most popular characters in comic book history.
Except he wasn't the hero of the book. I mean, you can look at it that he was, but the point is that was one book, which was a book again, and people had issues with the movie, as we already know. He's a great character, but he's not the hero. We're not following Rorschach. You could not make a 2-hour movie.
But that's
about
why you
Rorschach.
have an anti-hero. That's somebody you don't really root behind, but every now and then you say, you know what, I agree with this guy. He actually is trying to do the right thing. Would I do it like him? No, but is it somebody is it a necessary evil I can deal with?
If the Punisher showed up in an Avengers movie, if he joined up with the Avengers for a movie, I think he could be fun in that. That's exactly what you can do with Rorschach, where you spend a limited amount of time with him. He's got a total of 20, 25 minutes of screen time. That Frank Castle would work, but following him for a whole movie and trying to do it fresh and different than has ever been done, it's not going to happen.
Well, it might not happen, but could it be done? I think so. And if you're talking about putting in an Avengers movie, that you're talking about a completely different character. And I can see that.
No. He's shown up in the Avengers in the past. I mean,
that's in the comic book.
I believe he is on the Avengers role, which has like 300.
Well, we're talking about comic books. I'm talking about films. I mean, there's all kind of crazy stuff they've done.
Yeah,
with
but
the comics.
They're going to do an Avengers movie. If
they've had the Punisher first appeared in Spider-Man. There's no way they're going to put him in a Spider-Man movie, not that same character. So there's no way they're going to put him in.
Although, you know what? I'd love to see Sam Raimi do that storyline. That was a really cool storyline. The whole notion of the Punisher going after him and introduce the Punisher that way. I think a Punisher versus Spider-Man movie would be a really cool flick, because there we have our hero. The movie's about Spider-Man, but the Punisher is the villain. And there we can introduce the Punisher and have fun with him that way. But that's a Spider-Man movie, not a Punisher
exactly. But then again, you're talking about the Spider-Man. You're talking about the comic book world versus like the film world. Just like there's no way they're gonna make a fucking Hulk movie about Hulk on another planet like they did in the movie that they have now. I mean, the book they have now, World War Hulk.
But I don't think anybody would fucking watch it.
Oh,
Planet
no,
Hulk.
that's what. See, you just said what I said. Yeah, you can do it. You know, it could probably be a really good written movie.
Oh, no, I don't think it'd be a really good movie. I
No,
said you could make that. You said, I don't think they could make that movie. They could make it. I don't think it'd be any good.
No, it'd be confusing. You know, I mean, people don't know.
Why is the Hulk on another planet? Well, you see, Reed. Oh, shut the fuck up. Okay, we
Yeah, there's all kind of
No,
weird
I'm
shit
just
they
saying
do.
that's that. What I'm saying is I could enjoy that Punisher film, but what you keep talking about, we've seen that film too many times before, and I don't think seeing another guy suit up as the Punisher is going to work.
Well, I would agree with you on that, only because they fucked it up twice. So there's no way they're going to like take a chance on it again. Even though, as I said, the potential is there to make it good. But I mean, hey, what are you going to do? We're sitting up here arguing like this actually going to get made, and neither one of us going to go out and make this shit, or it's not going to get made at all. So, all right, so let's go ahead and get into email. How about that?
All right, let's hit some email.
It's almost like 45 minutes worth that we're into it.
Yeah, time is wrapping up.
And there's been some email. I was hanging out with the co-host earlier, and there's been some email that was directed right towards you.
Towards me?
Yeah, let me see.
Why does anybody want to hear what the fuck I have to say? I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, they said this is directed towards you because they already know my past, so they want to know how this works for you. It says, if you haven't done this before, and let me say who this is from first. It's from Pat Ghostal. And it says,
Pat.
If you haven't done this before, can you give a brief summary on how you got into being paid for writing movie reviews? He says, I'm currently an English major right now, and I'm really interested in being a movie critic. So I guess he knows my story. He wants to know yours.
Oh, well, I wrote for free for 5 years on the internet. I mean, it's really that's the average that I've run into. Like it was odd. I've talked to a bunch of people in the industry. It's like, how long have you done? Oh, it took me 5 years before I started getting. Really, 5 years? That's what it took me. And someone else was like, I took 5 years too. But yeah, no. Generally, it runs about 5 years before you start getting paid, unless you just manage to catch on with something where you just end up hooked up with somebody. It's like, oh, hey, but. No, generally I wrote for 5 years for Ain't It Cool News. And then out of the blue, I got poached by somebody. Somebody started emailing me and saying, hey, I really love your stuff. Would you like to come and write for us? And I was like, yeah, sure. And so they started paying me. And then, of course, we started up Real Deal Reviews, which then got picked up and turned into Spill, and eventually they started paying, and now I'm writing for a number of different sites, and occasionally I get people who contact me to do ghostwriting gigs and various other things, and now I just write. It really is what it's all about. Is you just have to keep writing until somebody notices you and says, I want to pay them to do that for me.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. There's a lot of dedication that goes into, I think, anything that's creative. If you're not lucky to be recognized right off the bat, get paid for something, you do it because you like it for a long time. And that, just like you said, you do it for free.
Yeah.
And I've done it. You've done it. A lot of people have done this. I mean, it's the beauty of having the internet is that you can put your stuff out there, but a lot of times you have to be willing to do it because you love it, not because you want to get paid. And then hopefully the paychecks will come.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is you keep doing it until, hopefully. And that's always the hope is that you can make a living off it. But especially in this period of time, in fact, I've been dealing with this a lot over the last few weeks. This is a really bad time to get into online movie reviewing.
It's a bad time to get into anything right now.
Well,
right?
yeah, but it's the field has gotten really competitive. All the top sites are starting to get very snippy with one another. They're really competing for to get coverage and to get scoops, and it's become very cutthroat. Unless you've got real scoops going on, you can't get traffic. And a lot of people think that it's just about starting up a website and writing, and that eventually money will come your way. And it's really not. We're starting to see the culling going on. We're going to see big sites go away because they just can't make the money because they just can't get enough scoops. And we're going to kind of see a fluctuation to where we end up with like what you have with the networks, or you end up with a few large sites that everybody relies on. And you'll occasionally get upstarts that'll come out of nowhere, but they'll either have some special gimmick or they'll go away.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see weird stuff. Variety wrote a weird piece last week about the rubbernecking going on with with these internet web fights. And the thing was about that article, I almost blogged about it because it infuriated me, because here the first half of the article is about how petty all these internet sites are being and how they're starting little spat fights over who got what scoop and who got what right. And then it turns into them trying to defend themselves for getting nailed on posting a scoop that was wrong by somebody else. Somebody else nailed them for it. And then that started a petty fight. And so they started calling them out. It's like, wait, you're writing about how petty these fights are, and then you're going to go ahead and start a fight with something? Really?
So
this was Variety.
Really? So Variety, now all the fighting that is going on between like different websites, this is actually beginning to be noticed by.
Well, not just noticed; it's beginning to happen. I mean, people like Dave Poland and Nikki Fink. Yeah. These are people who do very large movie blogs. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are LA insiders. You have people like Chud with people like Devin Farici working for him. Yeah. Who have some infighting going on. A lot of people hate Alex Billington, who the kid who I was telling you about last week, who runs firstshowing.net, because he's this 23-year-old upstart who came out of nowhere. And,
and that's why they hate him?
Well, that and the fact that he's a 23-year-old and has seen movies comparable to your average 23-year-old who really likes movies. One of the things this week was a bunch of critics were giving him a hard time because he'd never seen any of the Mad Max movies, and he was tweeting from a showing of the New Beverly Theater in L.A. was showing all three movies back to back, and that's how he was seeing them. It was on the big screen, and so many people are giving him a hard time talking about, you should be embarrassed to be a film critic that you haven't seen these movies.
You got to start somewhere.
And I'm like, dude, he's 23 years old, and he's sitting down and watching the Mad Max series, how they should be viewed on the big screen.
Why would anybody get pissed at him for that?
Because it's getting that cutthroat right now. People are really going after each other about who's the best critic and who has the best sources and who's getting the best scoops. And there's a whole bunch of us that are kind of sitting back going, wow, this is really fucking
How about
retarded,
people just
guys.
sit back and do the best job that they can?
Well, that's what one hopes, but it's really getting cutthroat because with advertising revenue starting to dry up, everybody's fighting for it and everybody's fighting for the hits and trying to fight for the notoriety. And I mean, it's weird. I'm going to go home and I'm going to write, and my Twitter is just going to be fluttering with guys complaining about the fact that there aren't any good scoops for their Monday morning news run. And that they're like, oh, man, there's no good news this weekend to write about. Or they're all going to be writing about the same one or two stories. And so you're going to go to all the different websites tomorrow, and they're all going to have the same stories because nobody can find anything to write about right now. So it's how do you get into it? Keep writing and hope that somebody notices you, and write to your favorite websites and ask if they're hiring writers or if they're taking on people to write. We're not, so don't hit us and go, can we write for you?
Please don't open that invitation right there.
No, we don't have enough work for the guys we do have. So, but it's all about writing and hoping to find your audience. If you want to start up your own site, the best advice I can give, dude, come up with a really good gimmick. Come up with some way that it hasn't been done before. Find something new and different to do about it. Some new angle, something. That's what you have to do to get noticed. Just being another guy who likes movies, writing on the internet.
Everybody does that.
Everybody does that.
Yeah.
So,
what are you going to do? I mean, that's and that's what I've always told people. Like, just find a unique way of doing something. Anything, not even a unique way of reviewing movies. Find a unique way of doing something.
But one of the other things I can recommend: always write under the same name. Like, use your real name, write under that. Because when you try to get gigs in the future, what editors are looking for is they're not going to ask you for a packet. They're not going to say, okay, send me 3 of your reviews. Mm-hmm. They're going to ask for your name and what sites you write for, and they're going to go out and look themselves. And they're going to see how prolific you are, how good your stuff is, when it was posted in relation to the movie, what kind of comments you got up from it. They want to see how you perform. And that's what you're going to be doing when you start out. So
yeah. So no, I mean, like you covered a lot of ground there, and I mean, everything you said is absolutely right. Couldn't agree with you more. So
I am a genius.
Yes, at harmonica.
Yeah, and wait till you see my movie, which comes out soon. It's called Dragon Ball Z. And, I worked really hard on the script. I hope you guys like it.
Talking about the ghostwriting on that. So let's see. We have an email here from Ito.
Judge Lance Ito.
Ito. What do you think is the most surprising character death in a movie you've seen? I think everybody's gonna. A majority of people would say probably Samuel Jackson.
Sam Jackson in Deep Blue
In
Sea,
Deep Blue
baby.
Sea, yeah.
That's one of the greatest surprise deaths of all time. Although I would also, to get a little more obscure, I would say Chow Yun-fat in A Better Tomorrow.
I could see that, but
Because
that
he's
is more
giving that
obscure, but
heartwarming speech. He's like, "You guys are brothers. We are all together in this." And and
yeah, bam, yeah.
and a bullet comes out of nowhere and blows his head off, and
But,
then a huge gunfight ensues.
I would also say Leonardo DiCaprio in The Departed. I mean, at the end when they're just blowing everybody away, like no one saw any of those coming, really. So, like do you remember that? You don't think so?
I wasn't too surprised by that, but I wouldn't say that's definitely one of the most surprising deaths.
It was surprising for me because of the way it was filmed. There was it was very realistic. I mean, usually a character like an actor of Leonardo DiCaprio's stature, we expect him to have some grand death. It's beautiful, it's dramatic, it's something. And that was just like, bam, he falls.
You know what? I'm gonna dig deep on this. I'm gonna go executive decision.
Oh, we just
Steven
mentioned that
Seagal
Steven
getting
Seagal.
sucked out of the plane.
I agree with you totally on that.
Because we were literally sitting there going, holy fucking shit, did they just kill him? Oh my God. And it was such a great move in that movie to do that, because once that happened, you knew anything goes.
Yeah.
And once you have a death like that where you kill a character that nobody sees coming, you're kind of like, holy shit, anybody could die at this point. And watching him get sucked out of the plane was just beautiful.
You're going to make fun of me, but that is a movie that I fell asleep in, and he was gone. And by the time I woke up,
you're like, what the fuck happened to Steven Seagal?
at the end of the movie, I was
Dude,
like,
he got sucked out of the plane.
That's what everybody was saying. Like, what the fuck, man?
And you didn't believe him. You were like, oh, fuck you. He didn't get sucked out of no plane.
No, there was enough people there to tell me. They were like, wow, that part where he got sucked out the plane. I was like, oh, I guess it did happen.
and don't go back to see that one. It's just, if you haven't seen it before, it's like, oh, wait, we've got to see. No, this is not a movie to go back in time and rewatch. It was just a movie we both saw in the theater.
Yeah, no, I've actually seen it since. I had to see that part. I saw it when it was on HBO a long time ago. Let's see here. Here's another question from Dan. Dan said, recently seeing The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. I noticed that it came in 2008, and you guys didn't review it. I'm glad you didn't, because it's a movie not to laugh about. But anyways, like we will sit up there and make fun of this shit even if we did. But anyways, what are some movies that you and Carlisle have seen ever since you guys started Spill that you didn't review and liked? I mean, there's a lot of them, actually.
No, there's a lot of stuff that we really wanted to review that for some reason or another we never did. Like Slumdog Millionaire.
Are you kidding?
Yes, I'm kidding.
I was about to say.
Everybody gave us a hard time. Like, why haven't you reviewed Slumdog Millionaire? Dude, we fucking did back when it came out
And
in
actually,
December.
I don't blame people, because right now, this is something I hope will get straightened out. Our search and categorizing system is horrible. Not even irritating or bad, totally fucking horrible.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, and that is just terrible business with us not having people to be able to find those things. Look, and listen, I will tell you something about The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. It's a Holocaust movie, and people are thinking, oh, you're supposed to take this seriously because it's a Holocaust movie. You know something? It was a heavy-handed film, and some of it I would have made jokes about. So,
No, it was
fuck
pretty
off.
heavy. It was not one of the best Holocaust films of last year. Although last year's a really bad year for Holocaust movies. All the Holocaust movies kind of blew.
Oh, what else came out?
Defiance.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
And then, of course, The Rita.
Didn't see The Reader.
Nobody saw The Reader.
As you Jack was saying. Yeah, didn't see The Reader. Yeah, you're true about that. I heard The Reader was okay, though.
Cyrus saw it, and Cyrus flipped for it, but...
He loves those kind of... Remember we walked out of... You guys got into it.
He loves redheads with big boobs.
Oh, wait a minute. That's right.
Yeah.
What's her name is in there?
I was kind of keeping back on that, but let's admit it. I mean, Cyrus loves the boobies.
What's her name? She won an Oscar for it. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I just want to see you kind of...
No, you should do this. I should be Kate Winslet. There you go.
Kate and her two darling
Winslets.
Which used to be fantastic, but now that she's had kids, not so much.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't really... She looked hot to me.
Well, yeah, she's a mom.
Yeah.
As she gets closer to 40, she gets hotter to you.
You goddamn right.
Yeah.
I love mature women. Love all women. What can I say? The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Now, I will say this. I thought that Defiance was an okay movie. I didn't dislike it as much as you did, but I thought, like, this is no big deal to me. At least they tried to have an accent, even though sometimes they did it bad. This whole thing of making a a Holocaust movie where everyone speaks with a British accent, I'm sorry, doesn't work for me. That's just me. That's a personal preference, and I thought it was silly. So at least try to Nazis. I gotta have my Nazis like good old fashioned Nazis. I gotta have
Nazis.
Yeah, exactly. Not Nazis. I gotta have a good old fashioned German thick accent. So anyway, hey man,
We're gonna kill us some Nazis. Nazis.
I wanna. Are you doing? What do you call
want my scalps.
Brad Pitt from.
Gentlemen, I want my scalps.
Have you heard anything about that movie?
Yeah, I've heard lots about that movie.
I mean, I know everybody's hearing about it, but have you heard a lot of people say it's good, bad?
Well, nobody's seen it yet. I mean, that's just it. I mean, I guarantee you, Quentin's going to try to get it into Cannes, and when the Cannes announcements happen, we might hear that that he's playing because he's Quentin and he can get into Cannes. But no, I mean, the people who've read the script really either love the script or hate the script because the thing about the movie, and I'm predicting that odds are I'm probably going to dig the shit out of it. You and Leon are probably going to hate it, and I think Cyrus is going to be the wild card on it.
I've been reading the script.
You've been reading it?
Yeah, I kind of like what's in there.
Have you gotten to the end yet?
No.
Okay, see, the thing is, the end is what kind of fucks with people. I'm not going to say, but the thing about this movie, it is a very, very fictional World War II movie.
Oh, yeah.
This is not, and that's where people are going to either have to see it as a World War II exploitation movie, where it's just a fun World War II bloody movie.
Well, the moment you put Quentin Tarantino's name on it, I'm thinking this is not going to be exactly historically correct.
Right, but you guys didn't like the Kill Bill movies, and I
liked the second one, didn't really care for the first one.
But I think this is gonna. I'm really thinking this is gonna mess with. It's gonna divide audiences.
But I'll tell you what, the reason why I didn't like the Kill Bill movies is because it was just referencing everything, and I really want to see something more original from him. This movie. I like what I'm reading so far.
Yeah, I know. I'm really looking forward to it. I have not read the script, but I don't read Quentin Tarantino scripts until after I see the movies. I want that theatrical experience.
Very good then. A lot of people are upset with the way we've been cutting things off. They thought we've been, like last week we cut off abruptly.
Well, and we cut off abruptly, for those of you who actually care about it, we cut off abruptly because we ran out of time and we were about to go into something else and you're like, oh shit, we got to go back. And I was like, what happened? He's like, you want to record more? I'm like, well, if it's done and it's got a process, let's just be done.
Yeah. No, so we didn't do it. We weren't trying to make a cliffhanger ending again. It was right at that time.
So right now we're going to do it Barry White style. We're going to take it nice and slow. We're going to give you a good, long, loving ending.
Now, are you really trying to okay. He's trying to pull this shit again.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.